We don't get these very often. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the representative from the highest per capita murder rate city in America, Bakersfield, California, it would seem. And he's on Fox Business, and he's just having a hard time. It's so frustrating dealing with Biden White House lies. So hard. Why is my job so difficult when Nancy Pelosi had it so easy?
So with that, let's bring in House Speaker, the great Kevin McCarthy.
Wait, the bottom line with Daggin and Duffy. How did I not know that was a show? Daggin and Duffy together again. They fall in love and fight crime.
Mr. Speaker, good to see you. I want to get your take on this because, Joe Biden has...
What are your take on this? I agree. Speaking for a living is difficult, wordsy stuff.
...had historic spending. We have wild inflation.
All right. Look what happened. I got I got to dig into this. Fucking son of a... Now I got to go to my library, and then I got to go to the watching later. And yeah, here it is. Let me get to this. This was... Hold on. Oh, hold on. This is 7 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. May I take you on a little trip to 7 years ago to a Donald Trump interview that I think is...
You are doing it.
Hold on. Quit. He's doing it. All right. This is when he announced that he was running, and Morning Joe realized, I think in the moment, that they had created a monster, and they used to let him call in his fucking pajamas all the time, or started after this. It's official, Donald Trump is running. The national debt... listen to what his complaint was. It was 31 trillion when he left office. 30 trillion when he left office, a little under 31. Yeah, this is from 7 years ago. This is his official announcement. Check this shit out. And then just run over what we now know. If only we had been... Yeah.
Why did you decide to do it this year when you passed all those other years?
Well, I looked at it, but not very seriously. Mitt Romney let a lot of people down last time. He was supposed to do better, and he disappeared. He choked. Something happened to him at the end.
He's also pretty sick during this. He's got a lot of, or maybe he had to get up early and he did and it's, he's got a histamine reaction to...
Last time. The country's in trouble. We have a big fat bubble coming up. You watch. We have artificially induced low interest rates.
Listen to this motherfucker. You what now? This is the asshole who, during his presidency, would ask the Fed chairman to go to negative interest rates. Negative. This motherfucker.
We have a big fat bubble coming up. You watch. We have artificially induced low interest rates. We have a stock market which has benefited me, but we are in a bubble like you've never seen before.
Explain.
Probably we have 20% unemployment, not 5.6%.
Probably we have 20% unemployment. And by the way, this motherfucker would bring us closer to 20% unemployment than any president in modern history. Not, Jesus Christ, this asshole.
So I just think the country is doing terribly.
We're in a big fat bubble. You really want to...
Ripped off by everybody, every country, including China, big league. Including
big league. The bubble. You're talking about this bubble. What bubble?
We are in an economic financial bubble, in my opinion. It's got to be fixed fast. We owe 18 trillion. I would say going to 20 trillion mark pretty quickly. You look at what's going on.
We're at 18 trillion when he ran for office. 18. We're going to 20 quickly, he said. And then listen to what he says. And by the way, a third of our national debt happened during his fucking presidency in the 4 years he was president, including COVID. But even still, his tax break was his tax cut was unpaid for. Watch.
So we'll see what happens, Joe, but I predict some bad things. Without proper leadership, I predict you're going to see some very, very bad things happening economically. You probably have a 20% unemployment rate. You have interest rates. I borrow money like I'm building the old post office. You pay nothing. They give you free money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's bad. That's not good.
And
That's bad. That's not good. Meanwhile, 2 years into his presidency, he would ask the Fed for negative interest rates and thought it was terrible that he had to finance the debt on an actual interest rate, even at 0.125.
No,
We've
it's hurt the
always
people that
heard-
save their money, Joe.
Yeah.
They save their money. They did it the way you're supposed to. For 30 years, they saved their money. Always say, now they go to the bank, they're getting 0.25%, you know, on their savings. Those are the people that.
A quarter of 1%. Yeah, it was 0.250%. He brought it down to 0.125 and then wanted it to be negative. I can't. All right.
The middle class in this country has been.
That's what I want to ask you about. So what policies would you put in place? What changes would you make to try and help lift up the middle class in ways that has not been accomplished before?
Yeah, let's do this. I feel like it's great going in the Wayback Machine, kids.
Specifically.
The biggest thing we have to do is new trade agreements. China is killing us. Mexico is killing us. Japan is killing us. Everybody is beating us. We have.
No, they aren't. Ask anybody who's in the dropship business who made their living on Amazon, or even those people who are complaining about TikTok and they're going to lose money. They're buying cheap shit from China and selling it again at a markup, or having stuff fabricated over there very cheaply and selling it over here. Are we buying more stuff from them? Yes, but we're selling it to our fellow Americans or other people in the West for a huge markup. That's what the businesses are built on. This is a wholesale. It's like saying you have a deficit with your wholesaler. I don't know why my wholesaler doesn't buy anything from me.
Competent people negotiating trade. We are losing money at every single step. We don't make good deals anymore.
Give us an example.
And that's why, Joe, I go out to speak. And I think Mark will tell you, although he's only about 70% there, but I think you will say, I get the biggest crowds, I get the biggest ovations, I'm getting very good poll numbers, and nobody until yesterday thought I was running. I mean, it's fun.
Well, actually, that's what we said yesterday. But give us an example of how, because a lot of people believe it right now, especially while we're negotiating the latest trade deal, that the United States always is out negotiated on trade deals. Give me a good specific example of that.
Because China and all of these people, Mexico is the new China, by the way. Mexico is unbelievable what they're doing with cars and with industry.
Yeah. I mean, slow down. The details, I can't do it. I forgot, looking back, how beautiful mind this shit was, with just stats and figures and stats, and just overwhelming.
They are taking our business like we're a bunch of babies.
They are taking our business like we're a bunch of babies.
We don't have our best and our brightest negotiating for us. We have a bunch of losers. We have a bunch of political hacks. We have diplomats. And China puts the people, I mean, hey, look, I know the smartest guys on Wall Street. I know.
Yeah, remember this shit?
Our best negotiators.
I know our best negotiators, and we're going to bring them in. That's right. And who did he bring in to negotiate? Yes, people from the former Obama and Bush and Clinton administrations who had already negotiated deals before.
I know the overrated guys.
Yes, this is an old clip. This is, just so you remember, this is 7 years ago, but this is in relation to what we were just watching.
Underrated guys, the guys that nobody ever heard of, that are killers, that are great.
Yes, guys you've never heard of that are killers, that are great, like George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, PhD.
We got to use those people.
So
we're using
who would be your
I'll
guy?
give you an example.
Who's your Secretary of Treasury?
Joe, let me give you an example. Carolyn Kennedy. I see 60 Minutes. She goes in, she says to the White House, oh, I'd love a job. Well, would you like to be ambassador to Japan? Really? Wow. She's like a negotiator for us in Japan. It's ridiculous. Japan is doing a number on us with the yen. You know, they just devalued the yen yet again.
Right.
We don't.
Yeah. Japan.
Don't have people that know what's going on.
So again, specifically, give us a name on Wall Street that you might consider as a Secretary of Treasury.
You know, George, the best person. Bestie McBesterson.
I'd like guys.
Negotiator.
I'll tell you what. I'd like guys like Jack Welch. I like guys like Henry Kravis.
Yeah, you like them, but and by the way, oh, this is so good. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. Why is it's so good? Why, Hal, you ask, why is it so fucking good? I'll tell you why it's good. Because this is a guy he cited 7 years ago, and look at the organization that he's talking to right there. Look at who Kravitz. I would have preferred Lenny Kravitz myself, but look where he is. Does anybody see? Does anybody see where this guy is speaking? Think now about the greatest villains on the world stage according to the right wing currently. Do you see it? There it is. That's right. Now it's coming. The World Economic Forum. Nothing but just evil villainy. They're the ones who are going to build us 15-minute cities and make us all get vaccinated and live in a fucking cave like the Eloy, and they're going to drink the juice out of our baby's spines. That's it. Motherfucker. It's so good. Fucking hell.
I'd love to bring my friend Carl Icahn. You know, I mean, we
You didn't. And you wouldn't.
We have people that are great.
By the way, I don't know where he's in. Is he at Giphy Nation? What is that?
Right. We
where
have people that are better than any of their negotiators. We don't use them, Joe. Yeah. We use people that are soft and weak and, frankly, stupid and incompetent.
You mean like the folks you brought in to do the China deal? That little China deal. Gung, 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 gung. Oh, 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 oh.
Position on the issue of whether or not to raise the minimum wage?
I would say leave the minimum wage. That's not the problem, Mika. Whether somebody's getting an extra, the problem is we have to create jobs.
On what they're being paid.
The problem is we have to get jobs in the country. The jobs are being taken by Mexico and by China. The jobs are being taken by India. You know, you call up.
He did fuck all in this area.
Up American Express, and you talk to somebody on the phone. They have an accent. You say, "Where are you from?" We're talking to them in India. And I say, we can't do that ourselves. We have to bring back jobs.
We have to bring, those people are taking good American call center jobs. You know, the jobs that are A, miserable to do, and B, will be automated largely. What a dickhead. Oh, yeah, never pass up an opportunity. Where are you from? You sound weird. The Upper West Side.
But don't you think wages are a part of that issue? And, okay, obviously you don't agree with raising the minimum wage, but do you agree that stagnating wages are a huge part of the jobs crisis in this country? And if so, what would you do to fix that?
Gross domestic product for the first quarter went below zero. That's unheard of. It's unheard of. I mean, where do you see going below zero? In China, it goes up 8%, 9%.
No, it doesn't. Also, it vacillates quarter to quarter all the fucking time, especially when you're using year-over-year numbers. You can see the seeds of this idiocy when it happened. Hold on, let me see. Which one were we on? Yeah. So that was where we were before. Oh, this business. Okay, so that's
now we have bank failures, but historic spending. We have wild inflation.
Yeah, so that's why we went there, was because of this guy bringing up Biden's historic spending. Trump is directly and indirectly, if you talk about like him signing off on the response to COVID, total responsibility for a third of our national debt, a third of it.
Now we have bank failures. But Joe Biden,
do we though?
Refuses to sit down and talk to you to negotiate a rise to the debt limit?
Yeah, he refuses to step forward because it only makes the problem even greater if he ignores it.
Right. So his goal is to make the problem greater. You're a moron.
Think about it. You named a lot of different problems. The reason we have a bank problem is because the Democrats spent $5.9 trillion, brought us inflation. With inflation, interest.
What? Silicon Valley Bank got over-leveraged with crypto and bought a bunch of treasury bonds and needed to snatch that money back and lost money on the deal, and then panicked a bunch of billionaire crypto assholes themselves, who were the reason why they needed to take the money out quickly in the fucking first place. The fuck does that have to do with inflation?
Rates go up, banks come in problems. What else has he?
Sorry. Interest rates go up, banks come in problems.
Inflation. With inflation, interest rates go up, banks come in problems.
I don't know. It's just too much, financial mumbo jumbo. I wish I'd paid more attention in home econ.
There's brought us inflation. With inflation, interest rates go up, banks come in problems. What else has he done?
What else is new?
We're paying more for gasoline because of his energy policy. We've got more Americans dying because of fentanyl because of his open border. Now we've got China thinking they're able to do something with President Xi that hasn't happened in 100 years. They're bringing Saudi Arabia and Iran together. He's sitting with Russia. He's now creating the new axis of power, something we haven't seen since the 1930s with Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia. Why?
Yeah.
Because we've got...
Why? Because we're leaving and they need to make money elsewhere and they don't have a lot of friends in the world, so they have to turn to other autocracies and make deals for food and energy because the West in all of Europe and the United States are cutting them out of the normal working system of the world because they're assholes. Or
a weak leader in the White House, and we're seeing in every aspect. When America is not strong,
we're seeing in every aspect, and banks come in problems.
The rest of the world is not safe.
Mr. Speaker, are there any...
Mr. Speaker, how can we be sure we're not talking to a computer generated chat GPT? Oh, I'm sorry. Chat GPT would never be this stupid.
Scheduled meetings between you, the Republicans, and the White House about raising the debt ceiling or dealing with the debt limit?
There are no schedules. I sat down with them, told them, look, I'll be reasonable, I'll be rational. The two things I will not do. I will not raise taxes, and I will not raise a clean debt ceiling. But if you want to sit down and find ways that we can eliminate waste and abuse, if we can sit down and we can pass...
Here's a good idea. Put a budget forward, asshole. You have the entire Republican caucus. Take a long weekend, fucko. Go back over your greatest. You've obviously got some winners in there. Darrell Issa, big rich people, and just gaggle them together. How do we make more money and spend less?
Policy changes. Maybe we put in work requirements, help the supply chain, get people back to work.
Put in work requirements for, oh, good. That's what it is. We're just going back to old Newt Gingrich bullshit.
Maybe we secure the border. Stop it.
I don't know. But then if we secure the border, then you'd have, I guess, you'd be seizing a lot of fentanyl, more fentanyl in a year than you had the entirety of the previous administrations for. And you wouldn't want that. I mean, that's...
300 Americans dying every single day. Maybe we do something on energy to lower the cost. That would be the #1 driver to lower
You mean like the Willow Project?
Inflation. Let people keep more and make America stronger and the world safer.
Why didn't I think of that? Guys, why didn't you bring it up? Chat room, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you... Why... We've been doing this show this long, and none of you thought to think up, or I certainly didn't, to make the country stronger and safer. What is wrong with us? I swear, what? It was right in front of us the whole time, and both words start with an S. I don't know why we did. We were this. I'm ashamed of myself.
Not followed up one time. I was with him at St. Patrick's Day lunch, saying I'm waiting to come down and meet again.
He's waiting to come down and meet again. He was at St. Patrick's Day, and he was waiting to come down and meet again because banks come in problems. Fucking hell. This is the Speaker of the House. Look, if your job has, if I may, Speaker in the title, perhaps learn to speak. God damn. This is terrible.
Democrats at retreat. He's going to meet with me, and
That didn't
saying, I'm waiting to come down and meet again. He told the Democrats at retreat he's going to meet with me. And I've been sitting and waiting, saying, I will come any day, any time, any night to make sure that we get a plan that puts us on a path. You know what the...
That's a little pervy. Look, sure you can come any day, any afternoon, any night, but can you do all three in the same 12-hour period?
Bank failure, it's more important now than ever before to not have this runaway spending, to curve it,
to curve it. Perhaps you mean to curb it, as in curb, as in bump up against a part that will stop it from going any further, but without to curb, or it's to make shit in an area where you can control it, as in curb your dog. Curve it. Shit.
The great economist Milton Friedman said you
can ride those curves all you want, but it's the straightaway that gives you the burns and the balls. It's a fun time. Come on, head bout. No, that was a character in Cars, I think.
The only person that can create inflation is government spending.
So true.
Yeah, that's dumb. All right. By no means. And I don't know if Friedman said that actually, or if that's a misquote anyways, but that's just ridiculous. Of course, inflation can have other causes. Like, I don't know, supply shock for a fucking example.
And Mr. Speaker, at one point, you can't negotiate with your...
Well, I by the way, I also wouldn't... Let me bring this up a little bit, sorry. I would call him Representative McCarthy right now, or something. Yeah, now you kind of have to say Speaker, don't you? You just keep drawing attention to it. You know what I mean? It's like he blew a snot on his upper lip when he laughed or something, and it's just hanging right there, and you can't say, you need to say it's not, and you can't stop yourself. You want to say it isn't, but you're like, it's not that, God damn it, why can't I stop?
Yourself. At one point, if Joe Biden doesn't engage, do you cast him to the side and go over to Chuck Schumer and sit down with the Senate and try to negotiate a deal to
cast him to the side? He's waiting on your budget, dumb fuck.
Cut spending or get some good legislative reforms and then raise the debt limit?
Chuck's almost even worse. Chuck says, oh, you should just pass a clean debt ceiling. He couldn't pass it out of the Senate. He doesn't even pass a budget. He doesn't even pass appropriation bills. So the Senate is where nothing happens. I mean, we've moved more than 38 bills. They become law. Think about some of the things we've been able to do with.
Well, then that means the Senate has passed them. Right?
The small majority.
He also passed the omnibus, for the record.
Stopped this president from selling our oil to China out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We cut 87,000 IRS agents.
No, they didn't.
We stopped.
No, they didn't.
D.C. from decriminalize even down to murder when he said he wasn't going to support it. Yeah. We moved.
He did support it. He didn't say he wasn't going to support it. He agreed to sign off on it.
Stopping ESG, where people could actually get a return on their investment instead of playing politics with their investment. He vetoed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to guess, like, that you're not counting that as a win, are you? That's, all right.
Before we move on.
No, let's not move on. Let's hang on the fact that he just decided to end his little gish gallop on something that Biden vetoed as a list of his wins.
Is this the political calculation by this White House, Mr. Speaker? Is that they create another crisis with the debt ceiling by not doing anything on it and then try to lay the blame on the Republicans?
No, that would be his plan, dum-dum. That is literally his plan.
For all these crises.
See, the White House put forward a budget as a reason to raise the debt ceiling and to cut spending over time in a manageable way. That's them doing something, and that's them calling this fucker's bluff. But what do I know? Banks come in problems.
That they also created.
I think that's exactly right. I think they want to just take the economy to the brink and try to blame us. It's kind of like saying the vice president is in charge of the border security, and we watch what's happened on this border. Do you know?
It is like saying the vice president's charge of this border, and that's what we're seeing on.
We've caught more people on the terrorist watch list in February than we caught the entire 4 years that President Trump was in office.
Maybe you should have tried harder. By the way, thanks, Joe Biden.
We're seeing Chinese come across every single day.
What? We're seeing Chinese come across every single day from Mexico? Via Haiti?
We're watching what's happening, and he ignores that problem as well. I think
he raised the expenditure in the omnibus and in his future budget. You could, of course, pass comprehensive immigration reform. The bill is sitting right there. It's something, by the way, that Joe Biden helped craft when he was in the Senate. It would pass. No.
There are so many problems out there. He thinks he can combine them all and just blame somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Thank God we're not projecting. And she's looking at this dude like he farted. I don't know what happened. We obviously they've muted the mics there.
You watch his press secretary every day when he talks, and you wonder, where is this?
His press secretary is a she. Whoops, hold on one second.
Blame somebody else. You watch his press secretary every day when he talks, and you wonder, where is this, the Twilight Zone?
Yes, perhaps Karine Jean-Pierre in the Twilight Zone is indeed male. On Earth 1, however, you're an asshole.
It's pretty hard to blame Kevin McCarthy or Republicans when you said all the time.
No, it isn't. It's actually pretty easy. I haven't had a hard time. Have you guys had a hard time? I haven't had a hard time.
I want to negotiate. I want to sit down and talk, and the president doesn't take you up on it. But you mentioned
that you had a budget and you were going to read it on the air today. And
Karine Jean-Pierre, and I want to move to this because
him.
As Peter Doocy asked the White House press secretary about how new House oversight info into Joe Biden's family making money off of China, and after she refused to respond, she said it's all lies. Listen to this, Mr. Speaker.
House Oversight says they've got bank records showing a Chinese energy company paying 3 Biden family members through.
That's not what it says at all, by the way. That is a lie. That's a lie. I mean, again, you can't walk in this rig. You could say paying someone who then forwarded the money, we believe, directly to the Bidens or whatever. If you're saying that the Chinese energy company paid the Bidens directly, you're just wrong on the facts and it won't work out. Don't. Why do you got to be that lame about it?
Third party, what were they paid for?
Look, I'm just not going to respond to that from here. Look, we have heard from House Republicans for years and years and years how the inaccuracies and lies when it comes to this issue. And I don't even know where to begin to even answer that question, because again, it's been lies and lies and inaccuracy for the past couple of years, and I'm just not going to get into it from here.
Mr. Speaker, it's a known fact that the money came in to a friend of the Bidens and then was distributed to the Biden family.
Is it? Well, then I guess game, set, match then, motherfucker. I would file charges. Where do you go first? You go straight after James and Hunter and try to roll them to get the big guy? That's what I would do. Find the state. Find it where it's illegal. And then I would also, what you should really do is go through Biden's record as president and find all the areas where he's gone easy on the Chinese. And then if you can tie that directly to these payments, I mean, I think you're set. I don't know, like, how easy you need a badminton racket for that home run, bitch. Come on.
And Karine Jean-Pierre sits at the podium and says it's all lies and
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Actually gets away with it. How do you deal with such lies that come from the White House?
Yeah, how do you do it? It's just terrible that she says your lies are lies, and then you have to say she's lying when she said you're lying and stuff. How do you deal with that? Use some words that in the wrong order. That usually calms me down.
It's just so frustrating. I'm glad you're showing it so the rest of America can see it, because
this is Fox Business. Calm down.
They're ignoring it.
The rest of America is not watching the bottom line with Dagan and Duffy.
It's exactly what happened. I was sitting in our
Look at them criming right out in the open. He's obviously talking to a Chinese person. They had to cut it off for legal reasons. And over there, he's talking to a Ukrainian. There's a big, somebody photoshopped out the big pile of money. God damn it.
retreat last week, and they told me that the Bidens were very upset because that we found this out. And I said, what were they most upset about? Were they upset that they only got $1 million out of the $3 million? Were they upset that they had to pay taxes on the money? Because what did they actually do with this money?
Yes.
The Bidens actually came out.
Shutters. It mostly goes to shutters.
And said it was
ice cream. I bet Biden's got a fucking ice cream machine. He's got one of those. And because he's old, he's got the hand crank kind. But it's an antique. $1 billion ice cream machine from the original Baskin Robbins one. He got it off an online auction. He sniped some other oligarch.
Seed money to create a company, but nothing ever went forward.
Because the organization that guy was working with never formed an American company, and there are no refunds in fucking business if you fuck around with other people. Again, this is so good.
You've got one Biden that they've never talked about before that is a school counselor. What did she do for that money? It's very interesting that we've watched this entire Biden family, that they tried to hide the information. Well, this isn't the last. We have a lot more to go.
That's right. This is, realize this isn't, we're going to go through all the guns that they have to find one that's smoking. And if we can't, we will buy a gun and fire it ourselves and then go, smoke. And I gave it as a gift. I hereby gift this gun to the Bidens, this smoking gun.
We'll show the entire American public what money.
Yes, he makes Ben and Jerry. He pays Ben and Jerry to drive to Delaware every weekend to make Chunky Monkey by hand. That's right. He's such the Bidens are just such fucking rich, nouveau riche assholes.
He was getting from China, and the real question he'll eventually have to answer. Even CNN began to question it.
Did they begin? Jesus Christ. Slow down, chew your words.
Mr. Speaker, the House Republicans have only had...
You had to call him Mr. Speaker after he said began, didn't you? Now you're just being mean.
It's subpoena power for...
By the way, notice how they're labeling the border crisis the fentanyl border crisis, because people are getting fucking sick of the bullshit border crisis story. Nobody cares.
About 2 months. A lot has come out because of that power. Can you give us any insight or any additional information into what James Comer and the Republicans have found out that we might not know yet?
Yes, because none of this is actually doing it for us. Can I get another bump or something right now? Because my high is wearing off. This is some cheap shit.
Well, I think you're going to find out more of some of that we currently know. The money from China and how much more is coming and who did it go to in the Biden family. And why is all the Biden family getting money?
I don't know. It's a big fucking... They are Irish Catholic. It's a big fucking family. If only 5 members are getting it, you're going to have to dig a little deeper than that. Have you seen Every Sperm is Sacred?
The real question will be, too, is when you sit down and you look at these emails that we've had for quite some time, America has had it, the big guy, okay? Yep. Well, why in that email, why didn't somebody question that within the Biden family?
Because what's his name is an asshole and nobody cares. He just called him that. By the way, why does nobody question the fact that Don Jr. refers to his father as the big guy? How do we know he wasn't in on this deal? And Biden is hiding the fact that he was in business with Donald Trump before all this shit was happening.
Who is the big guy? I guess they all knew who that was.
And it doesn't have anything to do with my height, I'll tell you that. Look out, the kidney.
But who was gathering this money? The other thing, you were right, Dagan, about...
Who was gathering this money? Words speak hard. Make noise from face.
What we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. Remember, we promised that we would get to the bottom of COVID. Now you're getting the classified documents. We passed that in the House. Yeah. The president signed it, didn't think we'd get it. We've created a...
The president signed it. You mean the guy who, when he got in office, it instructed the intelligence community to do a 90-day review on the origins of COVID, and that's where most of the documentation you're using as your guideposts to get more stuff actually came from? You mean that guy? Oh, you mean Trump, the guy who was like, I think she's doing a fantastic job. I called him last night. In between the giggling, he said, they're covered. It's very small. It's not coming here. We'll be fine.
Select committee on weaponization. We created a
Weaponization.
select committee on China, a select committee on COVID. And
Excuse me, these are all unselect committees, or they're not committees at
now
all.
the information is beginning to flow, and we're going to follow it wherever the information takes us, and we're going to provide it to the American public.
Great. Super exciting. Just like you provided it to Tucker Carlson and no one else, so that he could edit a piece of it and then pretend it never happened.
So they can make their own judgment.
You know, a lot of talking heads would comment about how the new Republican majority in the House wouldn't be able to get anything done because it was such a tight majority, and you lay out all these things that you all have done.
Yeah, especially the stuff that got vetoed or didn't pass. It's amazing.
With this tight majority, it's actually pretty impressive. I do want to switch gears because I want to talk about the story that everyone is talking about. A New York grand jury hearing called off today in the case against former President Donald Trump. Now,
It was called off.
sources say there was major dissension within the DA's office. And so, listen, no one knows politics better than you. You know every
Really?
district, every member, every race, every number.
I don't think that's the case.
How, if Donald Trump is indicted and they perp walk him and they get a mugshot of him, how does this play politically across America?
It's going to be better for him. It's going to be amazing. It's going to martyr him and people will line up. Democrats are going to cross the aisle. Independents can't wait to vote for a dude who's been perp walked over a porn star payment. I mean, it's their dream candidate.
I think it plays with Republicans and Democrats get offended by it because they know exactly what it is.
Yes, and we do best when we're offended.
This is using the law not equally, but directly for political purposes. Remember what we're talking about.
Okay, what are we talking about? A bookkeeping error.
This is not the Attorney General of New York.
No, this is not. Absolutely. This
is not even the Attorney General of New York City. It is a borough, Manhattan only.
Yeah, the place where Trump has a tower named after him. Only.
He's looking at a case that, you know,
and multiple other properties, where, by the way, his father and he were named in a suit as slumlords who were discriminated against black people renting in their buildings. Do go on.
The statute of limitations are gone from. He's looking at a case that
the statute of listen.
He's looking at a case that, you know, the statute of limitations are gone from.
The statute of limitations are gone from. Fucking hell. Does this man... Syntax, man. Syntax. This is brutal.
He's looking at a case that everybody else says nothing has gone wrong in it.
He's looking at a case where everyone else says nothing has gone wrong in it.
He is a DA who prides himself on not prosecuting people. We've known, you know what's happening in the city today, and that he lowers felonies.
You mean Bakersfield? Yeah, it's a shithole, I've heard.
To misdemeanors. And he's going after this just for political purposes. The one thing that America...
Well, it is an election fraud crime.
...respects is the rule of law applied equally everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. That's why Trump should face charges for his lying to the IRS and to banks, I think, and the civil cases that, you know, should go along with them. Yeah. You agree, right? Also, he should turn himself in on his sexual assault against the ones that he's admitted to, because he's like, they had to come in. I would argue that to some degree there had to be a law broken at that Epstein party, that it was just him and all those women paid to be there, right?
You can look at, remember what Hillary Clinton's campaign did. They sent $1 million to an attorney. Why did they send the $1 million to the attorney? Because the attorney then paid for a fake dossier. It was investigated, right? But
no, it was a real dossier. You can say that you don't believe what's in it, but it wasn't just, she didn't pay $1 million for something that didn't exist. It's not fake. Again, it goes in the category of you can't legalize.
They weren't prosecuted, but Hillary's campaign ended up paying $8,000. And what did the DNC pay? They paid about $105,000.
Yeah, it's almost as if Trump could have answered these charges early on years ago and said, piss off, I'm a billionaire. Here's your measly $25,000. But he didn't. He said, fuck you, which, a lot of DA offices will have an issue with.
There's no equal
But again, what do I know? He's the law and order candidate.
justice here. And I hope that the jury actually sees, the grand jury, that this is not where they should move forward, is not what America wants to see, and that we believe in equal justice, and this is just wrong.
Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to actually consider that at all. I think they're supposed to consider the facts and evidence in front of them and any exculpatory evidence that is presented in the indictment phase. Because he will have due process and he will have a trial and he will be able to make a defense and face his accusers and all that shit. Right? Again, my favorite part of this whole thing is the fact that Trump's attorney put him in a headlock essentially by saying, this happens, this is a normal thing, these kind of payments, which means now the DA can ask him or the prosecutor, whoever does it in court, if this is a normal thing that happens, how many times have you asked women to sign NDAs or paid them to do so when you've had affairs? And what was the timing of those things? Because you can't say that this is a normal part of your existence and it happens all the time and it has nothing to do with the campaign. If you say if your attorney says it's common for you and you've obviously paid people and gotten NDAs before, so were any of these for sexual misbehavior for locker room talk kind of things. If that's the case, that you've done it before, and that's your defense, that's how you're going to get out of this. You said, I do this shit all the time. I didn't do it for the campaign. Case closed, because that part's not illegal. Hush money and NDAs aren't illegal. The only part is using it to cover your ass during a campaign and then basically giving yourself a campaign donation illegally through someone else, which is what you're here for. If you're saying you do it all the time, give us a list, motherfucker. And then you can go home.
A New York City grand jury that, according to Fox News reporting, the district attorney is having trouble convincing that grand jury as well. So dissension in the district attorney's office and trouble with that grand jury.
Yeah, I don't think he has anything to worry about. I think it's just, it's going to be another week where people brought up the fact that he fucked a porn star that, 5 months after Barron was born while his wife was at home taking care of the kid. And she has an embarrassing story about his dick being a teeny little mushroom and him being pathologically afraid of sharks. And it was over very quickly and gross and uncomfortable. And she regrets it happening, but it was kind of hilarious at the same time. Remember that whole story? It's just another opportunity for that story to come up. And then we'll get to the real crime, which Jack White is making Trump shit his pants about.
They're on standby for tomorrow. Before we go, Mr. Speaker, we're talking, Sean
kind of like the Proud Boys
mentioned everything that the Republicans have been able to get done in the House, and talk about some bipartisan getting done that the president vetoed in his first veto ever.
Yeah, all vetoes would be bipartisan or they wouldn't pass. Right?
Partisan bill that he killed that would have stopped the labor.
House Sparks, Moms Russo says, House Sparks, I started hating Trump back in the 70s and early 80s. Well, you're a trendsetter, Moms Russo.
Department regulation.
All right, we're almost at the end of the show. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, patreon.com/HouseSparks. Think about becoming an annual subscriber. It's just one and done. And then if you're on Twitch, subscribe. And then, of course, if you are interested at all in super chatting or whatever, this is your last chance to get it in before the show's over. Well, I know I went long, but who cares?
This is what you passed. The Senate passed as well, that would allow the controversy.
Yes, all presidential vetoes satisfy those two standards. Wouldn't you say?
Controversial environmental, social, and governance, ESG investment policies in the management of retirement funds.
Hold on. How did she characterize it?
As well, that would allow the controversial environmental, social, and governance, ESG investment policies in the management of retirement funds.
So it would allow management funds to incorporate those in their financial planning. Doesn't mandate that they do, doesn't make them do it, doesn't force them to do it in any form. It allows them to do it. And I would guess if it didn't work out for the retirees or the people who are investing, that they would lose that job, and the companies that were managing that would fire that person or shut down or go away, which would be the market working, I think. But secondarily, this is not ever, ESG is never going to be the entirety of anybody's portfolio, but an element of the portfolio because the membership demands it, but Congress not allowing them to even request it of their, of whoever manages the fund, seems very big government, nanny state, commie bullshit to me.
Wanted to end this. The president is okay with a political agenda being inserted into investment decisions and basically allowing investment managers to choose
whatever they think is best for the fund that they manage at the request of the members, or that will give them the best return.
Politics over what produces the greatest return.
Or
for
both. It might shock you, but a lot of the renewables and ESG related funds and the kind of stuff you're talking about are the growth industries of the future.
A broad swath of Americans. What do you do? What is the House?
By the way, Tesla would fall under the ESG envelope. All of the Tesla offshoots, SpaceX, the car company, Twitter's private, but that would technically. Thank you so much, Chud Fund. Oh, thanks so much, JD.
Doing tomorrow after the president's veto.
Well, we're going to try to override that veto. But the one thing, you both are experts at this.
Oh, dear.
Dagan, you just know from the financial markets, your years working the Money Show, and Sean, you being on financial services.
Ass kisser.
What's going to happen here in the future is the same thing that happened to Silicon Valley Bank. People are going to wake up and say, why don't I not have good returns?
Why don't I not have good returns? So you do have good returns. Lucky you. Why?
To Silicon Valley Bank. People are going to wake up and say, why don't I not have good returns?
Speaker McCarthy.
Why do I not have a retirement account as large? Why do I have to keep?
Why don't I have a retirement account as large?
Working? Because they.
Why do I have to keep working? This is by the way, of the House Republicans, he's the best. He's the best they have to offer. He's the very, very best. Everybody else can't even, they don't hold a candlestick to his speak ability.
They're inflicting their personal political beliefs into how people could invest instead of getting.
They're inflicting their personal beliefs into how people could. No, they're not. You are. The president vetoed it so they would have the freedom to do whatever the fuck they want and include ESG if they want to. Or if the membership or the leadership of the fund that, whether it's a retirement fund or any of the union funds or whatever, they have the right to ask for that if they want to. You guys tried to outlaw that. You tried to take a tool out of their toolbox. He put it back in.
The best return on the investment.
Again, define best. If you make a bunch of money, but you poison your rivers and streams, you create a cancer cluster in fucking Louisiana. I'm just saying, are we just hashtag best or air quotes best?
These are the problems we're looking forward, and we're going to continue to.
These are the problems we're looking forward. What the shit?
The best return on the investment. These are the problems we're looking forward, and we're going to continue to fight.
Yes, we're going to continue to fight. Our battle with vocabulary and grammar. Oh, these horrible.
What's interesting here is the majority of members in the House and the Senate. That's the American public, sent it to the president's desk. But again, he wants to play politics instead of looking out for the average American to get more return on their investment and have a bigger nest egg. The rest of America doesn't get to make $1 million after the Chinese for their entire family.
The rest of America doesn't get to make $1 million after the Chinese for their entire family. What is... Are they just... Is he in a... Are they slowly sucking the oxygen out of the room? Is his necktie too tight? Or has he always been this dumb and we just haven't been able to see it?
Doing nothing.
It's also,
and that's the difference.
It's also a backdoor way to funnel money into the green agenda, as if...
You know what I'm saying? A backdoor way to funnel money into the green agenda. But only if money managers decide to do it. And also, citation needed that it won't be the best return over time. Can I, real quick, and I'm on my way out the door because we're done with this asshole. Price today. Hey, remember what I was saying last summer? Oops, I got to move this over so you can see it. Hey, look at that. Why can't people invest in oil? It was 120. It's just going to go up and up and up. So why can't they? They should be able to invest in oil. That's this Green New Deal shit. The oil is the way to go. You can only put the money where it's going to have the biggest return. I don't care about the ramifications of this ramalama ding dong. This doesn't matter. You got to be able to put your money in oil so you can have a retirement that you can cough through. Not in solar companies that are making a bigger return and don't have a limited resource that eventually they'll both run out of and people will stop using as much. Shit. I've said a lot of things. You're right. And this, like many of them, again, I'm right. Remember when everybody was like, it's going to be... I would like to remind you that the Glenn Becks of the world and the Kudlows of the world and all those folks who was in the fucking Trump White House told you $200 a barrel gasoline by December. And I was telling you last spring, it's going to go below 70. I love you guys. And I just want to do right by you. Honest to God, I feel a sense of pride when I'm right about these things because I both think it will alleviate some of your anxiety so you don't, these assholes who want to dangle you over a fire and make you feel like everything's burning up around you. Fuck those people. And also because I feel like I'm genuinely providing a service when I do. You know what I mean? Like I'm really giving you something worth watching. And I will do my best, my level best all the time. And, nobody bats 1,000 like this consistently, although my record is pretty damn good. But I will say, like, it is my goal to always give you an alternate take that's more in line with genuine reality. And I hope it's fun along the way. Hope that it's a little bit silly and a little bit smart.